Let's go!
Today's game is a Steamroller 2024 match on the Steamroller scenario payload. I'm playing Sparkhammer, and Will is playing.
I'll be playing Lylyth.
Will has won the dice roll, and he's opted to go second, and I've chosen to go first. I'm playing Sparkhammer, and this is my first time playing Sparkhammer. My list consists of the General is my only battle group model, and then I also am playing Carver with MMD47, an Officer, Tyson Vass, 3 Weather Stations, Zephyr, 3 Storm Callers, 2 of the Cav, Stormlance Legionnaires, and 1 Storm Banes. Going through the setup right here, I'm kind of just deploying a little bit like centralized, but more to the right on this scenario. So see here, I'm just setting up all my models in a row, trying to get the deployment line set up. It is a lot of models, and one of the things that I found during this match was not having Tactician. I mean, I have the Officer to pass it out, but I did kind of wish I had either double Officer or just not playing as many large bases, because I'm playing an extreme amount of large bases. But go ahead, Will, you can...
Right? Yeah, so like I said, I'm playing Lylyth1. My battle group is an Angelius, an Azrael, a Seraph, a Bolt Thrower, and a Soldier. We've got 2 units of Raptors, a Scather crew, a Shepherd, Annyssa Ryvaal, a Sorceress, a Succubus, and the Blackfrost Shard. And I'm kind of matching Jason in that like mostly central deployment. I'm leaning a little bit on my right. That's where I end up putting Azrael, the Bolt Thrower, and the Soldier. I leave Angelius on my left on the top side of the screen. And then both the units of Raptors are kind of centrally placed so that they can go to either side.
Starting off the turn here, in the match, Sparkhammer is racking Deflection and Arcane Shield. I also, since I went first, get to put up my 2 defenses that I brought, which were 2 walls. I really don't know how I feel about walls or defenses in this Steamroller. To be honest, they're really annoying to place on the field, and I find myself tripping over them a lot of the time. But go ahead and going first. I actually put up Deflection. I put Arcane Shield on the right side, or the topmost cav on my board. Put up Deflection, make Sparkhammer's control range 16, so that way I can cover as many things within that deflection. And then just basically running all my models max distances as far as they can go. Yeah, it's funny is you wrote down threat ranges this game, and I found myself slipping on a lot of them, not respecting a lot of Legion's ability to just move really far up the board and still shoot you from far away. The really high place movement. But I also on Carver, I end up casting Quagmire, the 1 upkeep. I put that up on MMD47, then I run up to the elevation onto the hill to get a little bit more defense, and then I also plop Carver or MMD47 on the hill and just try to control the right side of the board. Then I start moving up the cav, spacing them out, and this is what I was talking about with the large bases. So they start to kind of like trip over each other once I start getting all my models up close. But trying to just get as far up the board, and then I move the other cav up to the wall, increase their defense, and they're at base armor, and then I run the general into the forest. Here, I use the Officer to give Repo 3 to the Stormbanes. They walk up and Repo 3 out, and they are going to be using the Windweaver effect, which is one of the 3 arcane machineries that they can cast per turn. Run up the Stormcallers. The left side of the board, I'm just trying to cover as many models with that -2 range buff as possible. And then the Storm Tower on the far south part of the board, going up that left flank. Doesn't really do much in this game, but I do actually like their rules. But yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yeah, so I think this first turn here, I see some potential for some silly um, plays in trying to pick off some of the cav. During your first turn, I set out my prey token for Anissa onto the middle unit of your cav. Um, but I'm looking at potentially, throwing down a parasite into the unit of cav and seeing if I can pick some of them out with Lylyth. Um, I think there was having only played Lilith a handful of times. I think I was like getting a little trigger happy again. Not playing a lot of shooting lists myself. I was kind of seeing if I could push the envelope a little bit, but between was it arcane or deflection and cover and all that stuff, I ended up not being able to to pick out what I wanted to pick out there for first turn. So but I give it the old college try and repo Lylyth back behind the wall. She puts up Fog of War. Not that it really matters, because a lot of your models ignore concealment and cover and stealth and everything. So it's kind of a poor matchup in that sense. I'm losing a lot of value on Lylyth's Field Marshal Prowl and stuff, and the Fog of War bonus for everything else. But looks like I do get to pop a couple shots with my 2 shots with Anissa, and I take out one of the cav, which I think I was a little surprised by, not having gotten the parasite, but I end up placing Azrael behind the cloud, and I'm just going to start moving stuff forward, but still respecting your threat ranges. Obviously, a lot of your shooting's really far between your walk shoot, so I can't entirely stay out of range, but just trying to make sure I'm staying out of range to not get charged and not give you too much stuff for free. Here I think I kind of reorganize my order of activations. I go with the Seraph first so that I can slipstream Azrael forward far enough to try to boost a shot into another one of the cav, but I end up not hitting. I move the Angelius up behind the house in such a way that I can kind of position to threaten the unit of the Stormcallers and potentially Carver and the MK Ultima or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'm just kind of going to start moving everything up a little bit. Move the weapon crew up, move the Blackfrost Shard up, and the Raptors. I set the one grunt from the weapon crew forward, and use the Succubus to put Blizzard on it to make another kind of cloud wall for my stuff to stand behind, to block line of sight from shooting. Then pack in the Blackfrost Shard behind. move up the bolt thrower and the soldier towards that objective on the bottom side. I end up thinking it's probably a better idea to run the shepherd up towards Azrael, because I think it's going to be more valuable over there. And then here we see I place the Raptors, and the other thing about this list is the Raptors with reposition 5. You know, they just cover so much board space. You know, on top of being speed 9. But with that, it looks like I pass back over to you.
Yeah, so here on my turn, I'm trying to figure out how I can just shoot and scoot. But really, there's no, on my side of the board, there's not really much cover, and I can't really put as many clouds up. But here, I think I end up starting with the Stormcallers and just trying to see if I can get a little bit of chip damage into the Cav. But the base defense on the Cav is 14, and I'm needing an 8 in order to hit them. If I can at least just hit one of them, I can boost that up with their rules, so I get that cumulative +1. But here I'm going to just walk forward and see if I can hit, and unfortunately I remember I missed the first one, so I only really get the boost towards the end of the activation of this unit. So I go ahead and roll. I missed that first one. I'm going to go with the second one. I do hit. And then checking armor.
Yeah, I think at first you were kind of talking back and forth about whether you're going to go for the Raptor or into the Angelius because they're the same defense. Then you end up going into the Raptor first and then switching to the Angelius afterwards.
Yeah, I usually like every time I look at a War Beast, I would assume they're kind of like War Jacks with low defense, but it turned out it was the same defense. So I was like, oh well.
Yeah, well, the Angelius is one of those model that's you know, it's lower armor than a normal War Beast or War Jack,
Yeah.
and less boxes, but it has a higher defense to make up for it.
Yeah. So here I move up the Storm Tower, and I'm going to choose to get rid of Flight within 5 inches of the model that I hit. So I do end up hitting the Cav unit with the second shot, and I was able to get rid of Flight on the Angelius. So it didn't really, yeah, it didn't really matter. There wasn't. I mean, I didn't really expect to one round him this turn or one turn him with the War Boar, which is going to happen. It was my first time using the model, so like I was like, I don't really know if this thing could push anything. I was just trying to get some chip damage.
I mean, Volume Fire is a son of a bitch.
Yeah, which is pretty nuts. But
yeah, but yeah, looks like you take out the second Raptor of the unit, leaving the one behind the wall still.
Yes, there is one behind the wall, which we will later see teleport all the way across the board.
Teleport across the board, he says.
You know what's crazy? When I rewatched this, I completely forgot about Swift Hunter on the War Boar. So what I could have
you could have moved
done,
back a little bit.
Yeah, because
or move forward.
I didn't have line of sight behind the house where I moved the War Boar here. Like I move him up and I get line of sight to Angelius, but I could have used those Swift Hunters to possibly scoot to the right to try to pick off the cab on the other side.
Right,
but
yeah.
I ended up having to use, I think I needed all of my shots in order to kill the Angelius, I think. I'm trying to remember here. I think I ended up using
that's
all of them.
1, 2.
Yeah, I had 3 with one gun and 2 with the other, but I think I used
So there's
all
your
5
third
shots.
shot. Fourth shot. And I think you crank this one. And the last shot and take it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. I remember you survived with 1 HP.
Oh yeah, lived with one. Yeah, lived on 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it wouldn't have worked out.
Yep, and you end up taking it out there.
Yeah. So just move the cab onto the hill for a little bit more defense, and then I did end up casting Batten Down the Hatches to increase the armor of War Boar before the end of activation.
Oh, actually, so what's it called? So what you end up doing is you end up actually taking out one raptor from the top unit and one raptor from the bottom unit, because I still have two raptors on the top unit. The other one is back behind the house, and that's that power of that reposition 5 that I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, not many Cav have Repo 5. And that is a really good one.
And then from here, I think you just spend a little time kind of posturing. I think you maybe make some shots on the bottom side, but you're figuring out where you want to posture. You know, where does the general want to go? Where do you want to set up the Cav? Where does the Zephyr want to go? You know, and like you were saying, kind of fighting through the you know, the large bases and bringing the wall and the Cav not having native Pathfinder.
Yeah. Yeah, which is killer, like super killer. And then the Zephyr pretty much stayed stuck in the same position the entire game. But we reflected on the game a little bit later, and I really didn't need as many defense buffing, like defense skews, as much as I brought. I could have played
Yeah.
it a little bit differently. But here I move the Stormcallers up. I start trying to pick off the that unit that's on the large base, the scenario piece.
Yeah, you're trying to pick off the bolt thrower or the soldier, one of the two.
Yeah. I missed a couple shots, but I did.
I
I
think
got a
you
little
end
bit
up,
chip
yeah, you're gonna
damage.
move the tower here and shoot it and try and take off flight off everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I did with the storm tower down there. I ended up making a shot and then got rid of flight for a decent amount of models.
Yeah,
Looking back on it,
you take out flight. Yeah, you end up taking out flight off of all the models with flight except for I think the sorceress and Hellion.
yeah, yep. And then we discussed it later on in the game. One of the game plans that I'll try to do next time is, take advantage of the effect of getting rid of flight, but also having Sparkhammer more centralized, so that way I can put up the control range 16 and then just make all the terrain rough to somewhat like damper your ranges.
Right, yeah,
Uh,
because if you take away flight, you know, with no flight and no Pathfinder, you know, since you took flight away, I won't have Pathfinder either. And then the open to, you know, through the rough terrain's gonna decrease all my ranges by 2 inches.
yeah, and that was something I thought about like after the game. Here I tried to after losing some Cav the last turn. I was trying to like protect them a little bit more, but it turns out I actually end up moving the Cav right in front of Sparkhammer, and then Will takes advantage of it here going to the next turn.
Yeah, so with the loss of Angelius, you know, getting one rounded by the War Boar, I kind of view the game as like, okay, now I'm kind of in a losing battle because I either have to devote way too many resources to kill the War Boar, which is going to put me in a losing position, or I have to ignore it and it's just going to run me over for the rest of the game. So um, I kind of view the attrition slash scenario game plan as a losing one, and I start looking at trying to see if I can, um, you know, if not just get it outright, position myself for an assassination. And you know, I look at my threat ranges and kind of see that, um, you know, I think that going for an assassination this turn on Sparkhammer is pretty reasonable. Um, you know, Lylyth is in position. The Raptors are in range, and ultimately, I also end up being able to um, get a cheeky little knockdown on Sparkhammer to, you know, make it go by nice and easy. Which I don't think was necessary, but you know, it was kind of making it foolproof. So I end up going with Lylyth first, I believe. Um, you know, I want to go with Lylyth first. I want to you know, I want to get my feet going to get me the extra die on attack rolls. Um, So I move forward with Lylyth here. Put up snipe via far strike from either the bolt thrower or Azrael, and using the witch mark attack type on her bow. I'm able to hit Sparkhammer and then cast Parasite into Sparkhammer, ignoring range and automatically hitting. So I put the Parasite in to give a -3 armor, and then I take my second shot. I think I boost damage into the second shot. After I hit, I think I hit. Yeah, because I think you end up using a focus to reduce the damage. I think you were on 2.
Yes. Yep. 3 and 2.
Yeah. So with there, I have Lylyth reposition 3, and then here is where I'm looking at kind of making my assassination attempt foolproof. So I move Azrael up, put up Far Strike, and I boost a spear into the Cav model that's standing right between Azrael and Sparkhammer. With boosting and the additional die, 4 dice, I roll it out, get the crit, and I crit slam the Cav model into Sparkhammer, knocking him down. Crank some collateral damage into him, which I think you reduce there. Also killing the Cav model. And then I move up these 2 Raptors here, and they get their poison arrows into knockdown Sparkhammer, so not double ones to hit. They're POW 10 with poison, dice off 4. So from there, it's kind of easy pickings.